Oh, the hat trick. The newest show at RPS. Run Pure Sports. We got Matty Ice and Saul G down low. The banner's covering your name, Saul G, but you're there.
Yes, sir. I am here.
As I said in my tweet, Matty Ice, along with EJ and now Quick Party, run our Discord. I coaxed Saul into coming on to RPS just to test it out. But some people might say, we got him. I convinced you to do a show. I consider you and Matty Ice and EJ, some of the best DFS hockey players on the planet. Saul, I've learned a lot from you over the years. Matty, I'm getting to know you, but your stuff is incredible. The cores that we put on the website for RPS, by the way, I know you hate that word, Saul. Cores. But Matty Ice's are what, 85% of the cores that you put on the website, which the core is you put in, 5?
It's usually 6 guys, but yeah, we're hitting at just a tick under 85% right now. I mean, I've lost track of the takedowns we've had in our Discord to start the year. It's been real fun. I've worked with EJ in the past. Obviously, having Saul hanging out and chat now is pretty kick ass. He's an absolute goat. Anytime you can have somebody like that, hanging around. Really respect what he does in these DFS streets. So yeah, we've had a really, really good start to the year, and I'm looking forward to keep it going tonight. We got 100K up top. Let's get it.
Your core might be up. Quick Party did one. EJ did one. I know yours because we talked about it all day today. Saul, how do you build on nights like tonight, Saul?
Well, I think it depends on what contest you're playing and how many lineups you're running. So tonight I am not MMEing. I am just hand building, 6, 7, 8 teams, something like that. So for me, just kind of quick overview of the slate. I've used line matching for years now too, so it's part of what I do. And so I just kind of, if you're building 1 lineup or 3 lineups or 6 lineups, you kind of narrow things down to, okay, which goalies do I like? And then which are like the primary stacks that I like, and see where the chalk is at. Just, it's more my start of my process, kind of like high level, like what does the slate look like as a whole? And tonight, I know we're going to kind of go through everything, but it seems like a really big decision point is the very last game of the night. So that'll be interesting to talk through.
Being the Flyers and perhaps the worst roster in 20 years, the Sharks.
Yeah.
I told Matty Ice this today. I tried to be contrarian and said, listen, the Sharks are going to play with pride. They're going to come back. You got cheap line 1. They can't lose this much as a team. They had a meeting with the GM. And then you look at the stats on them, and it's just, they're just really bad. It's very hard even to play a very cheap line 1 with San Jose against not a great goalie with Philly. So, right, Matty? It's hard.
Yeah, I have a tough time fading it, to be honest. I think if you're a cash game player or a single entry player, Philadelphia line 1 projects out really well. If you look at the line matching sheet, kind of like Saul mentioned, I think they were the 4th highest projected ranked stack tonight. I expect them to be quite chalky. I know we talked about this the other day, but I don't think Draftkings did a great job with pricing on this. I was hoping they were going to make it a decision. Like, do you want to play Philly? At this point, they've kind of made it to where, like, okay, well, which guys from Philly are you going to play? So it's quite interesting. I myself, I'm much more of a GPP player. I don't know that I'm going to play much of the top line tonight. And when we, kind of go to talk through the game, I'll kind of explain my thoughts on that and how I'm going to get a little different with that game, trying to make myself a little bit unique tonight. when it comes, because it's certainly not a spot that I can, I'm going to run. I have 3 in the 444 tonight. I don't think I just don't think I can fade them in any one of them. So I need to find a way to be just a little bit different than everybody else.
So look at you. We mentioned line matching twice. This is on the. This is exclusive. Well, not exclusive, but it's part of what our DFS members see on the site here for NHL and NHL Dropdown. So I'm only going to go over this a little bit because we'll just get right into the games. But we've added to this. We've helped Adam add to this, even the stuff that we want to see more of in terms of his data, and his data is incredible. But things we're looking at on a nightly basis are correlations, both power plays, and for everyone who's new to hockey, like if you're just playing tonight because there's nothing else left to play, well, it's a lot of catching up to do, but there's a ton of correlation in hockey typically, and power plays when you have an advantage of players on the ice, 5-on-4, 5-on-3, are typically where most of the goals are scored. So that's what the PP1 and PP2s are. And then we're looking at stuff even as detailed as scoring chances. You can see under here, a high quality scoring chances. We're looking at defensive pairings, how they correlate to the power plays. The time on the ice is important, like Owen Power, 23 minutes a game. Typically in 23 minutes a game, you're going to do something, right, Saul? I mean, block a shot or 5, get the bonus.
Yeah, I would like to think so. One other thing I would mention, since we're talking about, like, we have a lot of people that are new to NHL or only played a couple times a year. I think anyone that hasn't played NHL probably has played MLB, and so I think I would just kind of think of it pretty similar to that, where you're not like that 1-1-1-1 stuff. I think that's kind of how I build cash lineups when, like, I don't worry about correlation in cash. I kind of use it as a tiebreaker, but for GPPs, you want to have, I would say, kind of like 2 main stacks probably of 2 to 4 players, depending on how you want to play it, and then kind of fill in the rest around that. But the 1-1-1 stuff, it's not NBA, so I would treat it you mentioned the correlation. I just wanted to kind of double down on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Saul, because I get asked that all the time when it comes to my cash lineups, because people are always trying to correlate stuff, and I repeat myself over and over and over. I said a lot of times a cash build has nothing to do with correlation. It's about just getting the value pieces into that lineup with the studs you want.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people are gonna, like, a lot of people are logging in tonight to play the good GPPs, because we get them, once every month maybe in NHL. I mean, we're working with Draftkings on improving it, and they've done a good job so far this year. But I'm sure some people will want to play cash tonight, and like you said, you just want to play the best plays in cash. And then for GPPs, essentially, to use the MLB example again, if you play like all 1-1-1-1-1 in MLB, you're hoping that 9 different people hit a home run, basically, and you're trying to hit like a 9-game parlay, where the more correlation you have, the less things you have to get right. And so, you do like a 4-3 stack or a 3-3 stack or 3-2 with a couple of one-offs. Like, there's ways you can do it, but there has to be some correlation.
If my mic's low, we did some adjustments on settings as we were changing.
You're good for me.
Okay, good. People said I'm whispering. It might be the ghost, yes. For those who are new to the RPS shows, there is a ghost in this office, and if the door behind me closes during this show, it's here. Lastly, on this sheet, though, I mean, we're getting down. I mean, stuff that's interesting that we saw tonight, even like 61% CF, which under these sheets, under the data with these sheets, is basically puck control, right? So you can see that. Look at this puck control: 72%, 61%, 61%. These guys, Carolina, why they're so successful is they're very good at controlling the puck, meaning they have the puck more often. Look at this. Look at this third line, Saul. Could I tempt you into Jordan Staal tonight? No.
I always kind of include them in my MME stuff when I do it. I usually leave Jesper Fostov, Rangers legend, but he kind of doesn't really do it for me. So, but yeah, I mean, 5,400 for the 2-man there.
It's
And they're going to get, I don't know who they're going to get here. They're
Well,
going to get
I
Buffalo
would,
1 and 2.
yeah, for
It's fine
sure.
with me. I don't know. That's fine.
yeah, because you look at the power play numbers. Carolina just does not give up a lot of shots. They're very good defensively. It's because they control the puck well. And then you look at how many Buffalo gives up. If we want to get in the weeds a little bit, 62 out of 62 shots per game per 60 minutes. And then we'll even get more detailed. And it's the last I'll spend on this sheet. But we even look at referees. This is something new that Adam has added to the sheets this year, is who are the referees that penalize games the most. And on this slate, Carolina and Buffalo has the game with the 2 referees that call the most penalties in a game where Buffalo lets up a lot of shots in the penalty kill, and Carolina controls the puck a lot. It's led me, and we could talk about this game first, and Maddie, I'll go to you, but it's led me to like Carolina a lot on this slate, especially since, the Aho line 1, and Aho is an elite class player. I think it's a pretty mispriced line for line 1. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's always in play. I mean, they're certainly a wagon. I think the biggest thing with Carolina is they get scoring from all their lines. They have a ton of depth, so Carolina's never my favorite team to play on a DFS slate because, like as I was just saying, they get scoring from everywhere. But in this situation on home ice, you're fairly certain Jordan Stahl is going to be taking, Tage Thompson's line for most of the night. I actually went back and looked the last time they played. I think the Stahl line took him in Carolina 77% of the time. So that's a pretty hard matchup. I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think Sebastian Aho is a great play tonight.
He's even better as a one-off. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he does it all. He's going to get big minutes. He's top power play run. He's going to get that PK work as well too. And we're looking at this line matching sheet and we're seeing that, but I think, the novice or somebody who doesn't play, I just don't think they're going to get excited about Carolina. But I do like Aho quite a bit tonight. I like Owen Power, maybe as a run back on the other side. I think he's going to get plenty of minutes. I know they got Ryan Johnson up on that top pairing with Rasmus Dahlin. But we were talking in our coordinator chat today. Quick Party brought up a good point. They kind of did that last game and then went with the whole shuffle with those pairings. I would not be surprised to see Power jump up to that top pairing, especially if they get behind early.
I think they mispriced Power. I saw Power destroy the Leafs, my Leafs. Actually, I'm very close to becoming a Rangers fan. You tried to sell me on the Devils. I'm just so done with the Leafs after 46 years. I could be a Rangers or Devils fan. It's down to those two. But Power owned us. I'm
a big Devils guy. I'm a huge Jackie Hughes stan, and I have been for a long time. But they're quite banged up right now, so I don't know if you want to. This is the time you want to jump on the bandwagon.
So my thing got to be Rangers. Wiley, yes, I'm in love with line 1 Rangers. Chris Kreider. I will say that when we were talking earlier, and so I'll go to this with you, is that my typical builds are 2-2-2 or huge whale line 1s with 2 punt defensemen. I cannot get away with finding 2 cheap defensemen. $3,500 is too expensive. $3,600 is too expensive for me on defense. And then we were talking today because you don't really need a punt defenseman tonight because the pricing's so soft. But the punt defenseman of the night could be Ryan Johnson. Did you look at that? Are we insane?
So I'm very in tune with the league and kind of everything that goes on from a DFS perspective. And 2 minutes and 30 seconds ago was the first time I heard of Ryan Johnson. So I will pass on that one. But I know if he's on the top pair, I just think I would probably, like you said, I think there's some pretty decent D-men in the 3,500 range. And taking a shot on one of these guys, I would probably change something else in my lineup.
Yeah.
And get switch out. Not a good example, but because I like this guy a lot. But if I was playing Minnesota, I might switch out Boldy for clown Marcus Johansson, and then improve my D-man. Or if I have a 8,200 goalie, I might go down to a 7,200 goalie and get a better D-man. I don't think there's a ton of great punts on this slate. And sorry, Maddie, I do like the 2 punt D-man thing, because if you can get 8, 9, 10, 11 points from those guys in these GPPs with 2 good lines, then you're in business. But I don't know about tonight.
Yeah, I just think I think Saul hit it on the head there too. I think there's just too many options in this 35. You can play, Tyson Berry's on the top power play. You can go to Eric Gustafson, who's running the top keeper for the Rangers. We already mentioned
Ryan Pulock.
Ryan Pulock. You got
Mayfield.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys down here, right? That I would prefer to play. I do know quite a bit about Ryan Johnson. He did, go to my alma mater, the Gophers, so I'm pretty well versed in him. But we'd actually talked about this earlier today, and I told Wiley, I said I just didn't think that there was a need to go that far down tonight.
All right, so leaving Buffalo and Carolina, I'm liking Carolina 1 or 2. I have some interest. I just don't think Carolina. I think Carolina is so good defensively. They don't give up a ton of shots, but I could be talked into Buffalo too. That means Buffalo line 2, Middlestat, Paterka, and I do like power. That's where I would go in this game. I don't know if you guys differ, but we'll move on to the next one.
I think Middlestat should see some extended run with Cousins out tonight. So.
And here's the guarantee. Here's the RPS guarantee. Sorry, Saul, is that we will never mispronounce an NHL player on this show, ever.
Well, we've had a lot of that in the past.
Yeah, Saul, sorry, on the Buffalo thing, it's always tempting to get Buffalo 1 in there at really low ownership because you wake up and it's like Tage Thompson scored 6 goals.
Yes.
Right. But I just don't. Big slate, horrible matchup. Not for me tonight. And then I think the line 2-1, I like Paterka and Middlestat, and this is another one where I would just leave. I'm not a Jordan Greenway guy, so I would probably leave him off and make that a 2-man if I were doing that.
Yeah. Lightning Canadians. So Lightning got lit up by Toronto. Well, not lit up, but they lost in a bad way to my Leafs. We'll never quit on my Leafs. We beat them in overtime yesterday. We're back because of Nick Robertson and because of Nyes. And I think Nyes is going to beat up Bedard for Rookie of the Year. Just put that on.
Matthew Nyes can play. Let me tell you what.
Yes. But Lightning come to Montreal. Montembeault is playing in that tonight. Ooh. Montreal gives a ton of shots up on the power play. Tampa Bay line 1, Point and Kucherov, arguably 2 of the best in the league, and they just absolutely fucking produce no matter what. I like Tampa Bay line 1. I know it's a little expensive. It may be a play off of a lot of people pay Colorado 1, but I do like Kucherov and Point a lot tonight. I don't like a lot on the Montreal side. I tried to, but I don't. Even though Tampa Bay's goalie Matt Tompkins, I found a stat on him, and he sucks.
Wiley, I'm going to tell you right now, the Montreal Canadiens are not a bad hockey team.
No, they're not. Arbor Jackeye. There you go. Another pronunciation. Correct. I wish the Leafs had him. I wish the Leafs had some fucking grit like him.
Now you want Caden Gooley, dude. Caden Gooley's a fucking stud.
Even line 2 with Tampa Bay, though, Nick Paul, he'll be kind of popular. That's pretty cheap with Stamkos. That's a $10,000 line, right?
Yeah, I think Paul's like a good cash type option if you need a mid-range center. What's he? I think 4K or 41 on DK. He's not expensive.
And you said Sergachev almost missed it up, but we don't get any rights. 100% pronunciation right. Sergachev, he kind of owns Montreal.
Yeah, his last 3 games against Montreal, he's been real hot. So I don't mind him as a GPP option in that mid range if you're looking to get a little different. Defenseman's kind of weird. Like I don't know how Saul feels about this, but a lot of times, like say I'm playing Point and Kucherov, and it'd be nice to have the 3-man stack with Hedman, but if you want to have another decent second stack, you might not have that extra $1,500. So sometimes I'll go to a guy like Sergachev, who I know is kind of in a similar role, but he's going to work the second power play. He's going to get a little PK work. But if the real Tampa shows up and they start putting it on him, a guy like Sergachev is going to see a ton of run. As to Coop's not going to be running Point Kucherov out there if it's 6-2 bolts.
Yeah, I'm good with that idea. I just the only thing I would make sure of is, does that D-man that you're going down to play with the guys that you're talking about? And in your situation, he does. So
yeah.
He'll see probably 8 or 9 minutes with them at even strength, I'm guessing. So that seems pretty good to me.
We go to you're a Devils fan wearing a Wild jersey.
I mean, I live in Minnesota, bud. I had to bring out the 97 Krill the Thrill jersey.
This is I think this is one of the games of the night because Chalk Varlamov, I can't get away from him as the goalie tonight, even with Minnesota, right? Islanders.
You'll never get any home bias from me, Wiley. I will call it down the middle, even when it comes to my teams.
Islanders defensemen, I mean, they're always well-priced. They always produce. Noah Dobson may have the highest output tonight on the slate. He's been absolutely destroying. And I have a couple of Dobson lineups myself in the 4-4-4. And then you got Minnesota, who gives up a shit ton of shots on the power play. A ton. They are terrible on the power play. And Marc-Andre Fleury is the key. I mean, you could play Fleury tonight and just hope that he stops everything. Or, you've got a pretty cheap couple of lines. You got Wallstrom on line 1 for the Islanders for $2,600. You got Barzal, a center, who's going to go against a rookie at $5,400. I'm big on Islanders matchups here against Minnesota, and I'm huge on Varlamov. Solly?
Yeah, I like there's a lot to like with the Islanders. The prices are pretty good. As you said, the D-men are kind of always in play. They're always blocking shots and randomly assisting on stuff. One thing I would point out on the back to the line matching sheet, something that stood out to me is the Islanders' second line, and how much offense they've been producing. If you look, they're producing almost 4 expected goals per 60 minutes and over 4 goals per 60 minutes actual. So, they're going to get like this, I don't know, I guess Adam Quick Party's expecting that they see some Eriksson, which kind of sucks, but he's also playing with Marcus Foligno and Patrick Maroon. So, like, Foligno's all right defensively, but Maroon
is a
fucking clown. So, I like a bunch of different Islanders stuff like you do, and I do like the Minnesota top line too, because it feels like they've put their 3 currently. I mean, I guess Eriksson would be in this conversation too, but
right.
I like the look of that line, and I like all 3 of those players, and it's fully correlated. So I think that's a pretty good look for me.
I know that we all have addictions in hockey. Mine was Ryan Suter for the longest time. Yours, I know, is Kyle Palmieri, and that's why you like Islanders too. You have to admit that, right? Because he had a run. He had a run a couple years ago or last year where he was scoring every fucking night.
Yeah, Palmieri, and it seems like his price is always the same. And they have Leafs legend Pierre Engvall on that line too, so works for everybody.
I think I will say this, and I'll go to you, Matty Ice, but I will say this. Here's my prediction of the night. Anders Lee gets the first goal of the night. Is this a 7:00 game?
Yeah.
Okay, Anders Lee gets the first goal of the night.
No,
3:35.
6:30. Or yeah, whatever. Well, Eastern time for you guys.
Oh,
6:30
okay.
for me.
You scared the shit out of me just there. Excuse me, Maddie. What do you think about this game as a resident Wild fan?
Well, the Wild are coming off a huge win against the Rags. They were down 3-0 in that game. They pulled Gus Bus. They threw Maff in there. He was absolutely spectacular. Saul mentioned that top line. I've been on Marco Rossi since the preseason. We've been just kind of riding him. Nobody plays him for quite some time. Kaprizov, yeah, elite scorer. He's had just some absolutely terrible puck luck. His goals expected are much better than what he has. He's gonna pop one of these nights. Is it tonight? I don't know. Yeah, I was talking with EJ about this last night because I was kind of tinkering with some builds after we had locked up some green screens for the night. I think this game could be a sneaky game stack game.
Regardless of what you think of Rossi and the Islanders, $3,700 for power play one, center line one.
I don't know.
He's been
I don't
killing
know.
it as a rookie.
I don't know what he found over the offseason. I've followed him his whole career. It's like a light switch turned on. I don't know what it is. It's what we expected from him when we drafted him. We've always known he's had the talent, but he looks like a night and day different player. It's just blows my mind. It's been really fun to watch him. But people are scared of the Islanders' defense, and rightfully so. If Sorokin was in net tonight, I would have absolutely zero interest in the Wild. None. Varley's very good. Don't get me wrong. I have no issue with Varley. We played him the other night when they had the 3-0 shutout in Washington. But Varley also can go off the rails and have some really, really bad games. And with the Wild playing no defense, if this game ended up 5-4, it would not surprise me one bit.
You can't say we when you talk about the Wild because you only have one team we. It's the Devils, who play tonight too.
That's true. And they're going to get smacked.
Smacked. All right, now the game of the night for Saul. By the way, this next game is brought to you by our sponsor, Papa Murphy's Pizza. Papa Murphy's Pizza. Grab yourself one today and eat it the next day when it's cold. You got Papa Murphy's up in New York, Saul? You got pizza up in New York? Do they serve there in New York?
Yeah, Sbarro. It's a New York slice.
Oh, God, that's
Sbarro,
good.
however you
I don't
pronounce
think it
yeah.
touches Papa Murphy's.
That's all 20%, we got.
20% more toppings when you use code RPS in participating states. No states participating. I would not put Kentucky pizza up against New York pizza any day of the week.
Yeah, there's some things that Kentucky does better than New York. That's not one of them.
Probably one of them. The biggest Rangers slap in the history of America is right here on the show. And I love the Rangers too, all the way back to the Adam Graves days. Panarin is having a year. He kind of was a little slow last year, the bread man. But I could single Panarin in some of my lineups tonight. But I do love line one Rangers, and Blake Wheeler at 2,600 is way too cheap, right, Saul?
Yeah, definitely a good play tonight. Blake Wheeler would probably have to be 2,600 for me to play him, but he is 2,600, so we can play him. I think you can kind of do whatever you like with the top two lines or the top power play here. Any combo of one-offs, two-mans, three-mans would be fine with me. I think the wings are running pretty good so far, it feels like, and I think it's a pretty good spot for the Rangers.
And I think you said today, Matty Ice, Gustafsson, just lock him and print, right? Power play one, Gustafsson, that price.
He's looked really good. I mean, obviously, he's never been a defensive defenseman, but I think this is a great spot for him. The Leafs, I mean, the Wings, I think they're a good team, but they give up goals. When I was looking at the sheet tonight, there's not a lot of these are. I think this is one of the lowest games when it comes to penalties, I believe. But I actually think that kind of suits the Rangers because sometimes, a lot of the times, I think they're a little bit better 5-on-5 than they are on the power play. It's kind of similar to what we've seen with the Wild. Like last year, the Wild's power play was absolutely rubbish, but 5v5 they were just an absolute wagon. I don't mind it here at all. I don't mind if you want to go up and play Jacob Trouba. If the Rangers get a lead in this game. I'm serious.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been playing a little bit of Keandre Miller, and I still think that 3,200 power play too, and eating up minutes is not a terrible play. Talk me off it, Saul, but you're the Rangers guy. Keandre Miller, I mean, he could score tonight.
Yeah, he's eerily similar to your Ryan Suter obsession, where I think he's a pretty good defenseman, a very good real life defenseman, but I don't know if he does enough for me to play him in DFS. Great defenseman, but not my cup of tea.
So, do you prefer the Rangers top line tonight or their second line?
I like both.
I think the top line will probably be quite a lot more owned. So, depending on what you want to do with that information,
Sure.
I think they're pretty much the same price.
Yeah.
You get two guys from power play, one on each line. I think I haven't looked at ownership stuff recently, but if for example, if the Rangers top line was 10% and the second line was 2%, then I would rather play the second line. I could kind of go either way on it. So I would try to play what I would think would be the lower owned of the two, because I think they're both pretty good.
Trocheck is 4,500 with Panarin on a power play one and less than 10% owned. I definitely have New York Rangers 2 with a Gustafsson as a build.
I wish he'd shoot. I wish Trocheck would shoot.
It feels like a Trocheck 2-goal night. I'm just saying that right now. I'm putting that out there.
Put it in the universe, Wiley. Put it in the universe.
It's my core, Trocheck. Jets, Blues. The Jets have absolutely stone killed me this year. They're a different team, meaning they suck. And we used to live off Kyle Connor, right, Saul? Which he hasn't been performing badly, but is it because Dubois left or what's going on? But now they're in St. Louis. A lot of people like Bennington as the goalie tonight, which would infer that they don't like Winnipeg. I think Niederreiter is an interesting play. He's had a few good games. Even Winnipeg too, potentially. I just think up top it's too expensive to go into St. Louis and smash. But of course, Winnipeg will fuck us.
Well, I am staunch on the hill that the Jets suck. I'm not coming off that. Right. I've been saying it all year. I don't think they're good. I don't particularly think this Blues team is very good, to be honest. But after they did some line shuffling, I thought they looked pretty decent that last game out. I believe it was against the Devils. I think the Blues win at home here.
Saul's a huge Blues fan.
Again, looking at the numbers on the Winnipeg top line, 2.13 goals per 60 expected, 1.37 goals per 60 actual this year, which is these are fourth line numbers.
They don't control the puck. They just don't. They just
no, and they're not. They're 44% of the shot attempts when they're on the ice. Again, there are times and places where I like to play Winnipeg, I don't think either one of these teams is very good either. But I don't know, like they're not cheap. They're 19,100. Like there's a lot of lines that are 20, 21,000 that I'm happy to play tonight. And I don't know. I'd rather play some other. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. Winnipeg 2 and 3. If you need cheap lines that see, like this is where the Philly thing comes in, because like Philly top line is what 12,100 or something like that, or
Yeah, it's
something
cheap.
ridiculous. It might not be that cheap, but like everybody's going to be filling in lineups with Philly 1. So like finding a secondary line price wise that can compete with them or beat them at a fraction of the ownership will be a key tonight if you're fading them. Not that I think that Winnipeg 2 or 3 are those lines, but as we kind of look through, I think that's kind of the challenge from a GPP perspective is how can you beat Philly 1 for the same price? And
I did look at a Lowry Niederreiter line, but I just can't bring myself to play it. I think the goalies are too good. Binnington and Hellebuck, they're going to stop a lot of shots. I don't think anyone's playing the Blues. Someone said play St. Louis too.
I don't hate Braden Shen at all tonight for $3,800.
His ownership is.
He's super streaky, and he finally popped last game. Like when he gets hot, he's pretty hot. I don't mind him for the amount of ice time he's going to get. I would assume Bobby Thomas is going to take Scheifele, Connor, and Iafallo. So you're gonna have Shen, Kyrou, and Saad going up against Nikolai Ehlers, who doesn't play any defense. Perfetti doesn't play any defense. I don't mind them at all if you're looking to get a little weird.
I don't want to get weird with these dudes. I'm out. All right, goalie night. Kraken, Coyotes. Ingram, I like as a goalie. I could be sold on Decor. I have not used any of these lines in my builds yet, but the Kraken consistently seem to crack me. Like I know that Saul, you've won a lot of GPPs and big contests with Gourde and McCann and Bjorkstrand and this Seattle team that I cannot figure out. But I just can't. I'm not going here tonight. I think Ingram is good. I think he's going to stop a lot of shots, and I'm skipping both these forwards altogether. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so Seattle is always very difficult to stack because their power play guys are on all over the fucking place. So they have power play 1, they have one guy's on line 1, one guy's on line 2, two guys are on line 3, and like McCann is the best of them, and he's on line 3. Second power play isn't even together. They have guys on 3 different lines there. They have Yamamoto, who fucking sucks. He was bad with Connor McDavid.
He does suck.
But he was fun to play at 2,500 with Connor McDavid because sometimes he would tip one in.
Sometimes he'd tip one in. Sometimes he'd get a secondary assist. But now he's playing with Beniers and Bjorkstrand. So, like, that's tough. Wenberg is, like, he's just an assist guy. He's tough to click. So what I would say is on the Seattle side, I think it's a good spot to go shopping for, like, one-offs. Like, Bjorkstrand is good. Schwartz is good. Any of these guys, if you have a wing spot that, you have around 4K, I would be fine clicking them in. The other problem with them is I know there's like this weird group of Vince Dunn people that exist.
I'm one.
I am not one of them. So, and like, it's just hard because he does a lot on the power play, but it's like split power play units, and who are you stacking them? So, like, I just find it, even in good matchups, I find it hard to stack Seattle. And then in Arizona, I do have some interest in the top 2 lines, but that would, for me, would probably be more of a MME thing than I don't know if I can click in the Yotes in a pretty tough matchup in like 5 or 6 lineups.
It's funny you said this because I'm going to say this to Matty Ice too because we were talking about this on another team. The 3 guys I cannot distinguish are Schultz, Schwartz, and Vince Dunn. they're all the same to me. And then we're looking at the Flyers tonight. And can you distinguish, we'll get to that game in a second, but can you distinguish anyone from line 1 to line 3 as different hockey players? They're all the same.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a big Cam Atkinson guy, so I don't know.
He's Josh Anderson plus.
He got me my first GPP win way back in the day. I got a soft spot for Cam Atkinson.
Scam Atkinson. The Sharks are taking it tonight. I just felt that in my head. It's Pride night for the Sharks.
But I will say this Arizona Seattle Sea Monsters game here, I do not have a good read on this game. This is by far, I think, one of the hardest games to digest on the slate.
I think the goalies though. You like
I don't mind Ingram or who's going to start for Seattle night. Did they say? I would probably play Ingram before I play
Dacol. Joey Decor.
I really like this Yotes team. They have a lot of players I enjoy. Like I really like Lawson Krause, Clayton Keller's a stud, but they're just so damn expensive that similar to like what Saul said. I think I think they're an MME play, large field lotto type, not a 444 type play.
Man, did the Canadiens, did they miss out on Logan Cooley?
Another goal for baby.
Yep. American hockey is where it's at right now. USA hockey. Sorry, Canadians. All right, now I'm going to do something really sick and twisted. I looked at this and talk to me, Saul, because I know you love the Preds. I know you love a couple of players in the Preds. I know you love Josie. I looked at this Preds line 1, and their high dangerous chance shot making ability, meaning they're in front of the net and they got a lot of chances. They get in the mix and they score a lot. They score above projected. O'Reilly and Forsberg against the Flames. I don't think anyone will own that line. It's really kind of expensive, but I actually played a Forsberg O'Reilly matchup tonight. Tell me I'm an idiot.
Well, they've been really good. It's funny. O'Reilly was felt like he was slowing down at the end of his time with the Blues, and then he was all right with your Leafs. Like he's okay, but they've been really good this year. Him and Forsberg. The problem is they're gonna, per the line matching, they're gonna face off against Backlund and Coleman, which is a tough. That's it's not quite Martinook and Jordan Staal, but like. It's pretty good defensively. But I don't know this other cat on that line today, Martin Pospisil. I don't know anything about him. So maybe Maddie does, but I don't know that dude.
Line 1 Nashville, I have Nyquist.
No, on the guy on line 3 on Calgary.
Oh, Pospisil,
next to Backlund. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm with Saul here. I think it's a bad matchup. I'm a big believer in Mikhail Backlund, I think, and Blake Coleman. I think both are incredibly good defensively. I don't know that, I want to, pay up for Forsberg or auto parts, with some of the other options on the slate.
But what I will say though is to your point, they won't be owned. They've been very good. You can throw Roman Josi in there. I mean, it's more expensive, but that 3-man.
There it is.
And then, I mean, like the Flames. The goalies suck. So, I mean, you're going to probably get that line at 1%. So
yeah. You're going to get line.
If you're going
100%, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going 100K or bust, you could do much worse than that 2 or 3 men, I think.
Yeah, Markstrom's not been great. I can't wait till the Flames disband. Actually, I can't wait till all Alberta teams disband because the players are tired of playing there.
I think I actually really like Roman Josi tonight. I think Yosi's a great one-off option.
I can tell you right now, I'll bet my entire net worth that Saul will have a Josi and a Palmieri lineup.
Very possible.
All right. I love this game. I thought I would – the Penguins at the Ducks with Gibson in net, right? Yeah, Gibson's in that.
Yeah.
They made a mistake because the Penguins are going to fucking smash the Ducks. And Sidney Crosby hates Zegras. They have this ongoing battle, and he hates him. I think that line 1 Pens, Russ, Crosby, Gunsel, and or line 2 with Malkin and Riley Smith. I think the Pens big tonight against John Gibson, and I need to trade John Gibson. They need to trade him to the Leafs. We need a goalie. The Ducks are better than they were last year. The Ducks are kind of where the Sharks were. They were horrendous. Gibson wanted to leave, but I really like Pens 1 tonight. I don't know what the ownership is, but I can go Pens 1, Pens 2. Gunsel, not Gwensel. Gunsel is like a Kyle Connor plus for me. Look at the U.S. Olympic team, by the way. Look at all these shooters and scorers. It's nuts. I mean, even deep down to 1-4. I mean, you got Austin Matthews up top. You got Gunsel and Kyle Connor. I love Pittsburgh tonight. Big time, like a 5-1 type game. So, Maddie, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good spot for the Pens here. The biggest thing for me is deciding if you want to pay up for Sid and Jake the Snake. The other option is going, Malkin and, like a Riley Smith. Riley Smith has just been, hotter than a pistol lately. They moved him to the top power play. You could look at Ricard Raquel as well, who's going back to Anaheim. If you like those, revenge narratives that people always throw out in our Discord, you could go to him. He's been ice cold all season long. Finally popped for a couple dimes the other night. I think he's cheap. I think he's in that mid-5s range. You could go to him. I have no issue with the Pens. I don't mind a run back with the Ducks either. I think the Ducks are a pretty damn scrappy team. They got some young talent. Yeah, I know QP loves
McTavish can play, dude. McTavish can play.
Yeah, Mason McTavish is a stud. You got Minty on the back end, who's a young defenseman who's just got a ton of skill. They're a fun team. Like Trevor Zegras can't seem to figure it out. Troy Terry, I courted Troy Terry the other night. He got us a hattie and finished off the shippers for us in OT, so that worked out nice. But yeah, I mean, I think the Penguins win this game. I think the Ducks are probably due for a little bit of negative regression. I think they played a little bit above their head, and I would imagine that the Penguins haven't forgot that Anaheim rolled into Pittsburgh and knocked them off a couple weeks back.
I'm surprised. I don't typically play him, but Letang at 4,800 on power play 2 is very enticing to me at that ownership too. I mean, he's probably going to be projected to be less than 5% owned. I don't know. Am I wrong? Is Letang still too expensive? Is he old? He still plays 23, 24 minutes a night.
Yeah,
So,
I think with Letang, a lot of his value came from being on the top power play, and he actually used to play. I think he even played like more minutes than that the last few years. Like he was
a 28-minute guy.
26, 27, 28.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you take away 3, 4, 5 minutes, and now he's not with them on the power play. I mean, he's going to be with them at even strength, so it's fine. I think this game, any of the top 6 on either
I have
side
Letang on power play too, by the way. He's playing the power play.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot more value in the power play 1 role there.
Okay.
But for me, I think any of the top 6, any of the top 2 lines on either side of this game seem pretty good to me, because I think this game's going to be just probably a fucking circus, most likely, because to your point, I think I do like the Penguins' offensive matchups here. And then on the other side, the Ducks, like the Penguins also have a pretty nice tendency to fuck things up when they shouldn't as well. So this is like a bet the over game stack type. Like if you told me this game finished 6-5, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Then you got Alex Killorn staring me in the face.
Yeah, I think Killorn's a good play. Like, I think he'd be a good one-off too. Yeah.
I mean, he was still in the 4,000s with Tampa Bay, and he would always produce for you. I felt $2,700 Killorn, maybe a good playoff Wallstrom as a one-off.
And that third line is not bad. Like, those are three pretty solid NHL players there with Killorn, Henrique, and Silverberg. That's, if you're spending up for like Colorado and another decent line, and like a D-man, you could probably do worse than, $9K for that whole line if you wanted to get sneaky.
They've drafted really well. I mean, Leo Carl.
Have the Ducks said, is Leo going to sit tonight or is he going to play? I don't. He's the only damn player in the NHL with a load management thing.
I don't know.
I don't think I don't know. I would expect him to play more of the home games if I had to guess, especially like a premier, like Crosby's coming to town type deal. I would guess he's in, but I don't know.
I mean, I think it's something to watch once we get closer and line rushes come up, because if by chance he does sit, then you're probably going to have Adam Henrique move up to that top line, and then all of a sudden, Adam Henrique probably looks like a pretty nice value piece, even more than he does, just looking at that third line now.
Jake Harry, you see the comment, Saul? Jake Harry, goated Jake Harry.
I did not. I don't. I'm on my phone, so I didn't even see anything.
He says, "Will the Penguins win me 50K, 100K, or both?"
Well, Jake probably both, I would guess, because he wins all the fucking time. So
he runs pure. Maybe Jake should do a show with us in the future. He's a handsome guy. Good on content.
He's very handsome, and you want to talk about a Roman Josi guy? That's
where you get your addiction from.
Yeah, he is the number one Roman Josi fan in the world. I would say probably.
Never mind. Jake is not allowed on the shows. All right, your Devils, Maddie. Your Devils, without the Hughes, against the Avalanche. McKinnon line one is really expensive, but they're really fucking good. And can they keep up with him and Rantanen and Cale Makar tonight on the road? Can the Devils keep up, or is McKinnon going to go off?
I really like the Avs tonight. I don't know where he's going to come in at ownership. I worry, the only reason I worry about the Philly ownership is because of where they're priced. On a 10-game slate, I don't think McKinnon's going to get crazy. But, I mean, they've been absolutely embarrassed back-to-back games. They've lost 0-4, 0-4. They won 4-1 and then lost 7-0 to the Knights. Nate was not happy after that game. I've been watching some of his press conferences and whatnot. I just think this is a great bounce back spot for them at home against a wounded Devils team. If this was
a hard ass as a captain too, he is absolutely.
I love guys like that.
He expects nothing but elite play from his entire team. I mean, he's an amazing captain.
And you got to have guys like that, especially when you go through rough times. You have to have somebody who's going to kick you in the ass and get you going. I just think he has one of the highest ceilings on this slate. And I just don't know who the Devils have right now that's going to chase him around. I'm a huge Jack Hughes guy. I'm a huge Nico Hischier guy. You can say what you want about something. I mean, Eric Howla is a good player. I like Eric Howla, but I mean, I just don't think he can. You can try to skate with Nate all you want. I just don't think they have anybody to do it. I don't think Dawson Mercer is going to do it. I sure as hell don't think Michael McLeod's going to do it. This just feels to me like a really good spot for the Avs to get right. I like Cale Makar a lot tonight. I actually prefer him a little bit to Rantanen, just due to a little bit of pricing. The Devils have been extremely weak against defensemen this year. So I really like Cale Makar. Obviously, Mikko's always in play. I'm not going to tell you can't play Mikko. Mikko Rantanen's a stud. I also like Ryan Johansson a little bit, which sounds disgusting. But, he's working that top power play. And I actually almost like all the damn Av centers. I like Ross Colton as well too. Ross Colton's cheap. He's below $3,000. He's going to get a little bit of power play time. Not that he'll, see much because the first unit always gets a ton of ice. But, if you're looking for a guy who's going to, who's cheap and he's at least aggressive, Ross Colton can certainly be considered.
I can never pay up for defensemen, so I agree with B. McNair, the biggest Giants fan in the history of the world. I guess he's an Islanders fan too. Ryan Pulak is he says Roman Josi is a wannabe Ryan Pulak, and probably $4,000 cheaper. So I can get behind that, and I can't play up for Cale Makar either. I always play Sam Garrard. Saul knows this. Devin Taves. I'll play. Well, it was Eric Johnson before, but I'll play a Byram. And I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Saul, but if you thought of, because Johansson used to play for the Preds, and he was line one center. If you thought of a line one center, power play one, at about a $4,000 to $5,000 price point, who absolutely did nothing every night, nothing, like literally zero. It was always who? It felt like it was Ryan Johansson.
It was. It's because it was.
If you search my Twitter, I haven't done this, but if you search for Ryjo Slappies or Ryjo Slapdicks, it's probably like 40 results. I could not agree with that more, but he's been pretty good this year. So I change of scenery, maybe a different role. Couple of comments on this game from me. Michael McLeod, top line center, is fucking incredible stuff.
Incredible.
I have no interest in
incredible as a joke.
No, it's just you have to understand that I have a lot of Devils fan friends, and they're going to win everything. And Jack Hughes, and I love Jack Hughes, great player, but one injury and now Michael McLeod is the top line center is just very funny. No interest in the Devils for me. For the Avs, there's a couple things I would say. First thing, if you're clicking in a lineup, and if you click in the Colorado top line and the Philly top line, that leaves, and just a random goalie, it leaves you with like 2,900 D-men or something. Like there's going to be a lot of people playing Colorado 1 with Philly 1, and then you're just kind of spinning the roulette wheel with the last three spots. So my suggestion for someone that's playing, especially in large field stuff, if you think about how many combinations of Colorado 1 and Philly 1 there's going to be, I would maybe try to get a little different with one or both of those lines, like taking out Rantanen or taking out Drouin, or on the Philly side, taking out one of those guys and either replacing them with someone that's like on a power play unit on the same team, or someone that's a similar price on a different team, and kind of running a 3-2-1 forward stack instead of a 3-3, just to get yourself off of because I feel like this is probably going to be the super, super, super common
100%.
way to do it.
It'll be Philly, Philly, Colorado.
Yeah, and then so if you do that, you have 13,400 left. You throw in like a 76. You throw in Binnington. Now you have 2,900 per player at D, and you just click in two random guys and hope your three are better than everyone else's three at D, and goalie. Which I would prefer to. I personally will not play Colorado with Philly. I will play Philly. I will play Colorado, but I won't play them together.
I would say that you could do a power play too. You could do Nikushkin, who's what, 6'4", 240, Ross Colton, and then one of the three, Garrard, Byram, or Devin Taves.
Yeah, you can go as long as it's not the two top lines together. And then the only other comment I have is we have to shout out the great, one of the greatest Twitter follows, the Buddha Man, who is a huge, the world's biggest Miles Wood fan. Plays him literally every night just so that when he scores, he can say that Miles Morning Wood rose up. So I actually do think that Miles Wood is a pretty good play, and shout out to Buddha because he's the greatest.
Buddha was in Lexington for Keeneland recently, and he DM'd me. I think he was outside of my office, and he said, "Hey, do you want to get a beer?" And I just happened to not be there, but I would have loved to do that.
Man.
I know, what a miss by me, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to that, to what Saul said. So, like, I'm going to play the Avs tonight, and I'll probably play them with some Philly, but I will not have any lineups where I go Nate, Mikko, Calais. I think if I do it, it'll be two of those. I don't think I want a 3-man stack the Avs just due to pricing. I'll get different somewhere else. So I think for me, it would either be Nate and Makar or Nate and Mikko, and then, maybe have a one-off or something, or some other way to get different.
I know who exactly Matty Ice looks like. I've been trying to think about it all night.
I get Zach Brown a lot.
JJ Spawn. Here's the game. Here's the fucking slate right here. Flyers, Sharks. Right? Because the Sharks have been beat by 10 goals the last 2 games. They're a team absolutely defeated. If you even try to think the Sharks have a shot. I mean, in, 25 years, and there's been some really bad Leafs lineups. But this Sharks lineup is one of the worst I've seen in a long time. And that's me being a super fan of Thomas Hertl, who you'd have Hertl on a late slate, fall asleep, and he would have a hat trick. But that's what he played with Timo Meier. But Hertl always, grinded it out, played 22 minutes, and would do things. And now you're playing the Flyers, who are going to be super chalk because everyone believes the Flyers are going to score 10 goals, which they possibly could. But the theory is that, for me at least tonight, that the Sharks had a team meeting. They met with the GM. These guys are all professional athletes and don't want to get beaten by 10 goals every night. Do they come back and play with pride? Philly's not like playing a Carolina or a Leafs. But you've got a pretty cheap top line with the Sharks. I always loved Hertl. He got Duclair. I think he scored 1, maybe 2. He had like a lot of points against the Pittsburgh in a throwaway game.
My 13-year-old's better than Anthony Duclair.
Stop it. I'm trying to sell myself on the Sharks. My Sharks. You got Granlund in the power play for 2,800. He's like Ryan Johansson minus, granted.
He literally is.
And then you got the Flyer side, who, they've got Torts. They play puck possession well. They all seem like the same person. Farabee and Tippett. Tell me the difference. I don't know. I mean, if anything, I would probably play Philly 3, like Cates and Farabee, maybe a Bobby Brink. But absolutely not Wiley. I'm trying to sell myself out of San Jose. Believe me. I just try to be too contrarian sometimes.
I don't know how Saul feels about this, but I mean, I'll just give you my thoughts on Philly. I think if you're a cash or single entry guy, or you're playing in the 444, Philly 1's a great spot to start. I mean, Couturier's, under 4K. Atkinson's just a tick above. Tippett's just a tick above 5. They're good plays. I mean, we've been calling them the San Jose Sharks for a reason. I mean, they've been getting absolutely waxed.
I've never seen anything like it.
I watched the game the other night, and it was just like my brain broke at the defensive breakdowns that they're having. It's not very often that I'll say I think the top 9 for a team is in play, but I certainly think that's in play here tonight. I don't mind going to a Farabee and a Brink at all. Travis Konechny. I think Travis Konechny is one of the most underrated players in hockey. All the dude does is score. One thing that I'm looking to do a little bit tonight, and I'll play some Philly 1, but similar to like what Saul was saying, when we were talking about the Avalanche. So if I go, let's say McKinnon and Makar, I might get a little different with Philly and play Farabee and Brink, instead. The other thing I was talking about, and I know I said in our coordinator chat, this could be even a little bit galaxy brained, but you've had guys like Atkinson and Couturier who are very much so injury prone. If this game ends up 5-1 in the middle of the second period, I just don't think Torts is going to run guys like that out here for 20 minutes. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Not on a road swing, no.
So I just, playing guys like Farabee and Brink and, a Forrester even, I think he's $2,900 on DraftKings tonight. I think they're more than viable. It's just really what your game script is and what are you seeing? Does San Jose rise up and this is a 4-3 game? Then could, Coots and Atkinson and Tippett are probably where you want to be. If you think, in my opinion, if you think Philly blows them out, then I would probably play some of the young bucks who you think, could get 20 minutes tonight.
Question, and you can answer this, so I'll say, new to the NHL, any rules for flex? Play your highest priced, latest starting player in flex. I don't typically play defenseman in flex. Jay Reed said that too. If you have any rules for flex, say it. The one player I will say that I'm addicted to, probably more so than Saul's Roman Yossi or Jake Harry's Roman Yossi, is Mario Ferraro. I think he scored a goal once in 2021, and I've been addicted ever since. The guy just blocks. He plays a ton of minutes. He blocks a lot of shots. I just wish he was 3,800.
Every time the Sharks on this slate, Wiley's like, Mario Ferraro's going to win this play for us.
I love Ferraro. Okay, there's my play of the night. I already have one play. I'm going to counter that play with this play. Mario Ferraro, 5 block shots in the bonus, and that motherfucker gets a goal.
All right, I got some thoughts on this game.
You don't agree with that?
I think Ferraro probably will get the blocks bonus. I think that is a very viable play because he's always been a good shot blocker, and this is the first time he's been on the worst team in NHL history. So it lines up pretty well for him. That being said, I think if like 3 weeks ago, just close your eyes and imagine I told you 3 weeks ago that we're in a 4-4-4 tournament and the Philadelphia Flyers were going to be like 30% owned. Yes. You'd be like, who are they playing? The fucking high school team down the road?
Basically, they are.
Which is not far off, right? But these two teams that have blown the Sharks out the last couple days, are like Vancouver's got a really good offense. Penguins have a really good offense. Flyers are still coached by Tortorella, and like he'll be pissed off if this game ends up like 5-4.
Pissed off.
And by the way, this is a matchup of two former Rangers coaching legends with Torts and David Quinn. But I
fade this guy at your own risk. This is Mario Ferraro.
I just think, and I think you can play some Sharks. I don't know if I would stack the Sharks because they are terrible. Like they literally are horrible, but they're not going to lose 82 games. They are at home. The Flyers are also not very good. I do like as hockey players and as DFS players and at their prices, I like Tippett, I like Couturier, I like Atkinson. I like them a lot. I like Konechny too. I just don't know. It's a 10-game slate. I feel like they're going to be like whatever ownership projections you look at. I think they're going to, in the 4-4-4, I think they're going to be higher than whatever is being predicted.
Yeah.
And just me, the way I like to play, I just would rather not, if there's 1,000 people in the tournament and 300 of them are going to have Philly 1, I would probably say I'll be one of the other 700 and try to figure out a way to make up those points.
That's where I am. I mean, it's the Flyers after all. It's the Flyers.
Yeah, and they're great prices, good players. It's a tough fade, and they fit with a lot of shit. Like they fit with the most expensive line on the night. So, yes. But that's also why it's a very, 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 very like 8 very comfortable click. The Sharks are horrendous. Everyone knows it. Like my mother knows the Sharks are fucking 0-10.
But they're professional athletes. They've had the team meetings. They know they can't get embarrassed again. They're going to skate their absolute dicks off tonight, in my opinion.
That was kind of my point here, though, as to why I mentioned like Farabee and Brink. Like, Saul's, like if we're talking like 30 to 40% Philadelphia line one, if you have some other stacks you like, Rangers, Avs, whatever it may be, Islanders, Canes, why not go to like a Philly 3 whose minutes are going to be safe and are going to be legitimately a fraction of the ownership?
Yeah, I like that. I like maybe different combinations. But it's a hard thing. But I also don't think you have to think about too. There's going to be a lot of newer players, and they're going to do like the easy thing, right? So they're going to just click in who's the best play, what's the best full line stack. So they're going to do Tippett, Couturier, Atkinson, and so to your point, I like the idea of going to line 3, line 2, maybe a combination. Maybe you could do some weird shit with Philly too. Like you could play 2 guys from 2 different lines, even if they're not on the same power play unit, and just hope that you get the goal and the assist there. Because like with the line 1 stuff, like they could combine for 2 goals and they could still not be optimal. Like unless they completely nuke it,
Correct.
you can find a way to beat that with similar salary. So that's
I'm
just how I like to.
I'm actually really glad you mentioned that, because we were talking about that in our Discord today, me and Wiley and Quick Party, and I was looking at stacking the Flyers in some weird ways to get myself different. I guess for an example, you go like a Farabee Brink Konechny or Farabee Brink Tippett, just not just stack line 1, because I honestly believe that's what everybody's going to do tonight.
Yes. So here we go. Close this up. And by the way, I mean the Flyers obviously are well coached. They're not going to. It's not like the Leafs. They're not going to be soft on any game with Torts behind the bench. But the Flyers goalie he's not great, right? It's not Carter Hart. So I'm going Sharks pride. Who's our play of the night? Matty Ice, who's your play of the night? Play of the night.
Nathan motherfucking McKinnon.
All right. Saul?
So with this play of the night, is it just like guy that you like the most?
If you had 150 lineups and we're told you had to lock one player.
Nikita Kucherov.
I like it. He's so damn good. He's just silky smooth on the skates.
I like those plays.
Is yours is Ferraro, right? I assume.
Fire him up.
Yeah, because I have guts. No, it's not be Ferraro. I think it's Pulak is my play of the night. My defenseman of the night, my play of the night.
I like that.
That's it. Thanks, bros. That was pretty good.
Yeah, enjoyed talking with you, fellas.
Houston
Thanks,
play
Wiley.
the night.
Thanks, Matty.
Yeah, we'll do it again. NHL, hat trick. We're done. Good luck. Hang on. I gotta get the show exit. Wait, everyone just pause and pretend like nothing's happening. And